welcome to Travel Bits. I'm your host, Bonnie Quartermanch of Bonnie's Travel, a home-based travel agency here in Seekonk. This show is about all things travel. I like to pass on travel tips, share some of my experiences and knowledge in hopes that you glean some information that might be helpful to you with your travel. My husband and I are celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary next year, and we wanted to do something special to celebrate it. So we looked at our bucket list, and on our bucket list is a trip, a cruise to Alaska. So it was after we had booked our cruise, this was when I decided this would be the topic of this show. Because once you plan your vacation, the planning does not stop. There's still so much more planning left to do. Some of the details to plan after your vacation are pretty much self-explanatory, but there may be one or two things that you hadn't considered. So here are my 8 items that need to be planned after you've planned your vacation. The first thing is travel insurance. After you've booked your vacation, you have a very short window to take out, to purchase travel insurance for your trip, especially if you want the option of cancel for any reason. That normally needs to be purchased 24 hours, within 24 hours after you put the deposit down on your vacation. So keep that in mind. And also with travel insurance, you can get insurance that would cover you from door to door, whether you're leaving on a cross-country driving trip or getting on a plane flying somewhere or going on a cruise. It can cover all aspects of your vacation, and it protects you, and it protects your investment that you've made into your vacation. The next item to consider is your passports and visas. If you're going outside of the United States, then you will need a passport. If you already have one, then take a quick minute to check the expiration date on your passport. Some countries require you to have at least 6 months left on your passport before they allow you to enter their country. And you just need to, it's too late once you're at the airport to fix your passport. So it's always best to keep an eye on your passport and your expiration dates. If you do not have a passport, as soon as you book your vacation, then that would be my very next step that I recommend that you do. Fill out your application, get your pictures done, and write out your checks. They can take sometimes up to 2-3 months for your passport to be for your application to be processed and your passport to be mailed to you. So you want to give yourself plenty of time for that. Also, for visas, some countries require American citizens to have visas for traveling to their country. Your travel agent will notify you of what visas need to be taken care of ahead of time. If you are not working with a travel agent, then just Google is everybody's friend. You can find what countries require visas, and again, that's an application process that you need to take care of before you leave on vacation. The next item is child care or pet care. This probably goes without saying. You need to take care of, figure out who's going to take care of your kids or your pets while you're away if they're not coming with you. I started months in advance of making lists of CCD classes, music classes, dance classes, sports, school schedules, this and that for when my husband and I were getting away on our own without the kids. I had 4 kids, and it was crazy sometimes, but A lot of it just needs a lot of advanced preparation. Make sure there's enough food in the house for them. And, you know, the doctor's numbers, just things like that. Start making your lists if you're leaving your children behind. Same with your pets. If your pet staying at home and somebody's coming to take care of them, or are you boarding your pet, or is it going to somebody's house? Again, you know, lists. Make sure you want to pack up their toys and food and whatnot. Okay, so the next thing on my list is money. If you've only applied a deposit on your vacation, you want to make sure you set aside the money to pay for it, whether you're making monthly payments or you're waiting until tax time to pay it off, or just saving along the way. Make sure you know when the final payment is due. Don't be a day late, because your entire vacation can be canceled for that. I've seen it happen. I've heard it happen. So make sure you know the final payment date on your vacation. Also, under the money category, you want to make sure that you have money to bring with you on vacation for souvenirs or tips, food, beverages, anything that you want. Make sure that you have enough money set aside for the things that you want to do while on vacation. Back in the day, it used to be, especially if you were going out of country, people used traveler's checks. That's not so much the case nowadays. The American dollar is widely used, and also I always recommend to my clients that they use credit cards. The thing with credit cards, especially if you're going out of the country, if you use your credit card for the larger purchases, you will get a better exchange rate from our banks. So instead of getting the exchange rate in country, the thing with using your credit card is make sure that your credit card company knows that you are going to be away. It's just a simple phone call. They usually have a separate desk for that who handles the calls, and they just make a notation. Before we started doing this, we've had our credit cards stopped when we were camping up in Lake George, New York, and also one time when we were in Austin, Texas. We tried to use our cards, and they figured it was fraudulent, so they stopped our cards just to be on the safe side. So just a quick call to the credit card company will fix any issues like that. My next item is excursions. So it wasn't until we booked this trip to Alaska that we noticed that there are so many excursions that can be done. Excursions are things, whether you're going to a park, or say like even Disneyland, you know, you want to make sure you have your tickets. When you're going on a cruise, on the days that the cruise ship stops at port, you can go scuba diving, you can go snorkeling, you can go parasailing. There's just so many things that you can do that can and should be planned ahead of time, because on the more popular destinations and excursions, they do sell out. So it's always best to book ahead of time, and that way you're covered and you're not disappointed. The other thing I want to bring to your attention too is research the destination that you're going to ahead of time. Find out what there is to do at your destination. You want to make sure, especially if it's once in a lifetime, it's the only time you think you'll ever be going here, you certainly don't want to miss out on anything. But at the same time too, if you go into a specific destination for, say, one certain thing, and then you find out, well, it's closed, it's under repair, or it was damaged in the last hurricane, or any numerous things could be happening. So it's always good to to check ahead to make sure that the things that you want to see and do are open. So the next thing that I have planned, that I have checked off, is transportation. The thing with transportation is if you're taking a road trip, are you bringing your own vehicle or are you going to rent one? The same with if you're going on, say you have an RV. We've made many trips in our RV down to Virginia Beach, and you make sure it's all serviced properly and you're all gassed up and you know, you got the proper inspection stickers on and whatnot. Also, you need to figure out if you're leaving for vacation, you're going to an airport. How are you going to get to the airport? Are you going to drive and then park your car at the airport? Are you going to have family or friends dropping you off? Are you hiring a limo, or are you going to do Uber? One thing with Uber and Lyft cars, not all of them are allowed on the airports. It's insurance issues or whatever. So check ahead of time if this is the option that you're going with. It's a popular option nowadays, but make sure that you can grab an Uber that can bring you right to the airport. Okay, the next item that I have on my list is packing. You're going to want to check what the weather conditions are going to be on your vacation. If it's going to be sunny and great, then you know how to pack shorts and bathing suits. I found that with this trip to Alaska that I'm taking, even though we're going in May, it's looking like we need to pack a lot of rain gear and some of our winter outfits to keep warm and dry. I hear it's rainy and it's cool, which Alaska, I guess you can count on that. So even though we are traveling in a spring month for us, it's still going to be quite cool. So you want to make sure you have packed the proper items that you need for vacation. You also have to make sure that you have everything that's necessary for you, such things as like medication. Make sure you have all your medication. You don't want a prescription to run out halfway through your vacation and need to get it refilled while you're, sunning on the beach in Mexico. You want to make sure you have your camera and plenty of memory cards and batteries and the chargers for everything. You want to make sure you have your books to read, or your Kindle is loaded with books to read while you're sitting on the beach. There's just anything that you think you're going to need to make your vacation more enjoyable. It never hurts. I'm going to go back to making a list. There are things that we use every day that we take for granted and can be left behind. But then there's also things that we use just for vacation and they can be left behind. So it's always best to start making a list, and that way you can make sure that everything goes in your suitcases for your vacation. Another thing I like to do is when you're packing your clothes, put together your outfits. And then I always try everything on, try my outfits on. You might notice a stain that wasn't there before, a rip. It might not fit the way it used to when it did last summer. Things just, the moths will get at your sweaters. So it's always best, I find, to try on your outfits before you put them in your suitcase. That way there's no surprises at destination. And one more thing about packing is, especially if you're flying, you want to make sure that you're very strategic with your packing. Don't overpack anywhere. When you're flying with the cost of baggage fees that airlines have imposed, it's always best to try to fit everything in a carry-on bag so you do not have to pay the baggage fees. But you also don't want to overpack, so you have room to make purchases and get them home while on vacation. And then the last item on my list is pre and post hotel stays. This is mainly for cruising. It's always advisable to arrive at your cruise port city the day before your cruise. You just never know what's going to happen as far as your flights are concerned. And especially if you're flying quite a distance to catch a cruise. We are flying from Providence to Seattle on our cruise, and any number of things could happen on our flight. So we're going to arrive the day before. That way we can get the stress of the flights out of the way. We can relax in Seattle and have a nice dinner, go to bed early. There's going to be, a time change. So it gives you a good chance to get acclimated to the time change and just to settle in and figure out your logistics for embarkment day the next day. Anyone who's been on a cruise knows that embarkment day is a crazy busy day. And if you're running late or tired or frazzled in any way, it can be a long, tedious day. So it's always best you're on vacation, arrive ahead of time. The same goes for post-hotel stays. Sometimes the ship will come in a lot later, and it's difficult to find flights home that are convenient. I have a couple going on a cruise, and it was actually less expensive for them to stay overnight in the city and catch a flight home at the end of their cruise instead of grabbing a flight the day that they disembark from their cruise. They're actually saving quite a bit of money doing that. So things that like that you need to look for and plan ahead for. So there's no hiccups or interruptions along the way. There is so much planning that needs to be done, but there's also so much unexpected and things that you don't plan on that can come up. So the more planning you do, the easier it does come, so you can handle any unexpected thing that comes up a little bit more easy, a little easier. So that's all I was able to come up with right now. If you have any other ideas that you can add to this list, don't hesitate to contact me. You can find me at Bonnie's Travel on Facebook, or get in touch with me here at Seekonk Channel 9. If you've ever been on a vacation that you want to talk to me about, or if you have ideas for future shows, I'm always looking for help. I want to make this show interesting and helpful, and sometimes I run out of ideas, so feel free to give me some of yours. So until next time, safe travels. Thank you.